her name, but some lady, she was like the head of something within the VA. She was put in charge of studying um, the effects of vaping on the human body, and all she did was basically rewrite someone else's theory paper and post it as a scientific study.
That's what they all do anymore. None of them have it.
Well, yeah, yeah.
None of them have an original thought. And if they do have an original thought, it's usually completely wrong and misguided and just stupid.
Well, I mean, you don't necessarily need a original thought. The bare minimum I ask is don't betray the scientific method.
Don't steal other people's work. It's okay to borrow it as long as you give credit for it.
Yeah. Theoretically, we could reach a day where there's nothing else to do but copy other people's work. Because, everything's been discovered or whatever. I'm talking way off in the future. But we'll never get there if people are just read the opinions of somebody with a PhD and decide it must be scientific fact solely based off them having a PhD.
Sorry, I'm sharing links here real quick.
Oh, you get them. Fighting gravity to get my computer set up. Oh, computer, set up. I forgot about that.
That's funny. Your computer's like.
I wonder if she'll do it again. Computer, fire proton torpedoes.
You gave it Star Trek: The Next Generation voice.
Well, see, I did that the other day and it wasn't working.
Huh.
It she did the whole I don't know what to say or whatever she says. Or I don't know that one.
I'm a turd. I don't know.
No. Ooh, excuse me.
Yes, there's a good picture. For anybody wondering what roosters are good for besides chasing after you and sticking that little spur in your ass. Morning, Thomas. Thomas says morning, Fred, Yeti, and Chris.
Morning. What the hell is that on the ground?
A falcon.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. A rooster will die before it lets something happen to one of its hens.
Yeah.
So.
They're definitely programmed that way.
Oh yeah, they're definitely one of the bigger assholes in the animal kingdom when they even considering size.
Yeah, that one at my dad's house decided to have a disagreement with my leg. Well, my foot won the argument. Of course, I'm thinking my dad's going to be upset I picked his rooster. And he's like, oh, no, I have to do that all the time. Oh, okay, then. They're mean little fuckers. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to do something.
Yeah, sorry, I'm still.
No, that's fine. I'm having technical issues I'm going to fix.
Alrighty. Thomas, how you doing this morning, buddy? Fred, where are you at, bub? You any place?
Good morning.
Savannah, Georgia.
Good morning.
Morning, Jamie.
Morning.
There we go.
Did you see our discussion topic this morning?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's a decent one to talk about. I do have a clip that I'm going to show before we actually get into reading about it. So I'm going to have to update my... Thomas says he's peachy. So you're round and furry is what you're saying, Thomas?
Yep, that's exactly what he's saying.
Don't tell jar openers.
Shit.
Yeah, I didn't watch their show last night. I was out of it and everything, so yeah.
I watched for a little bit and was active, and the next thing I know, I wake up and it's I'm like, oh shit. Whoops. But stuff happens. Thomas says,
It
good
does.
morning, Jamie.
Morning.
Oh, that explains it.
That explains it, huh?
Yeah.
I'm sure glad because I was wondering.
Wandering and driving is not a good thing. You might end up somewhere you don't want to.
Wondering, not wandering.
Ah, gotcha. My mistake. No, that's not going to work.
Yeah, I know what they're trying to use because the VA here, they have the program that talks about it.
Aha.
Yeah, so they won't let me do it because of my addiction issues. So yeah, hey, that's all good though.
Good morning, Cora. Cora says, good morning, everyone.
Morning, Cora.
How's your
Morning.
coffee this morning, Cora and Thomas? And anyone else drinking coffee this morning?
I'm making it.
Hopefully a good coffee.
I just realized I may actually have to eat crow. I mean, it's by no means a scientific conclusion, but
Okay.
A bit of butter and garlic to make it go down a little easier.
I like broccoli. Y'all ever watch Stoner Gump? My buddy's been
Nope.
sending me his videos. Dude is freaking hilarious. I was watching one the other day, and he was making this butter candle with broccoli in it, but broccoli was supposed to stand for weed.
Okay.
And right in the middle of the video, his kids started giving him shit for messing up, and he broke character for a little bit. Kind of funny, but he spends most of his videos talking like Forrest Gump does.
Mm.
Thomas said black and hot. Cora says coffee is black and hot is right. Going down smooth. Alrighty. Good deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is a clip from the Sean Ryan show where he's talking to Doug Collins, who is the VA administrator.
Secretary.
So, let me know if
Idea
you can
about
hear everything.
psychedelics.
Oh,
And he
shit.
said, we know what we
Shit,
need.
Shit. Sorry, Fred. Let me fix that problem first because...
What did you do different? Because that came through like 5x5.
Well, if it's better that way, I'll just let me know when you can hear it so I'm not blowing Fred's eardrums at.
Right.
I know how to pull my ear. I know how to pull them down.
Never is making the decisions for us. What was your conversation
How's
like
that?
with Bobby Kennedy?
Right there. That'll work.
Well,
Yep.
Because, of course, he is very, make America healthy again, getting people, getting the food additives out, getting those kind of stuff. And I asked him specifically, we were talking about this, I said psychedelics, because his agency would have some say and some, the studies and stuff on that. And it was really interesting. Bobby starts talking about this and he says, he said, I was a heroin addict. He said, putting stuff in your body, he said, for me to begin to talk about, having something put in my body to quote fix, he said, that's just nowhere close for me. He said, because of my past. He said, but then he wanted to explain a family member of his child of his, who had an experience using psychedelics that changed his life drastically. And he said, I would have never thought this, would have never saw, sort of, I will let him explain it the way he sees it. But he said, this is working. He said, I've changed my mind about this, because he said, I actually see it happening and see it work. And he said, in my own, flesh and blood. And I think that's the part that, for me began to be exciting a little bit, and to see, here's someone who is so sensitive to those issues of medication. And one of the things too is, and I think you see this, the answer to people many times, if they're having, episodes, just this idea that the ideas that you can medicate them to health is a problematic to me. I just believe it is. And it doesn't mean the medicines don't work. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying go stop your medication. I'm not saying don't give it. But is there other ways to help in that regard that can reduce that dependency? And if we can, that'd be great. So Bobby's the same way. So for us, I got a partnership now that he and I are going to continue to work on from the research side and from the other. Also hopefully bringing DOD involved a little bit in this as well, because that's part of our problem, Sean. We hadn't even really talked about this. The transition from DOD to civilian, or what we would term VA, our side, is really bad. We don't do this well. We don't, and it's not just the VA health or VA benefit, not just the benefit. It's we're not giving a lot of our young service members and even old service members the transition that they need. We send them through the programs. You do the briefings. You've been there. And is it really working? And the answer has to be that probably it's not working like it should, because we're seeing too many people end up in suicidal issues. We're seeing too much end up homelessness issues, or financial breakdowns, marriage breakdowns. Because as much as for those of us in the military who can gripe about the structure at times, you take away the structure, and even the harshest rebel, who rebelled against structure, would say, I need that structure. So I think that's where it's really changed for me, and looking at how we do this and how we go about it. So again, having partners like that is going to be, whether it be at DOD, whether it be at HHS, or with us at the VA, it's going to be very important moving forward.
What is the plan, like with psychedelics? What is the plan moving forward? How does it get introduced into the VA? What needs to happen?
Well, the first thing we're going to do is I'm getting this information now. Again, this is a part of this. I've already had a few who came in who've actually talked about it, who want to talk about it some more. And then we got this study that's being done in conjunction up in New York. I want to see if there's a possibility to expand that program. Where is it right now? Again, some of this I'm getting, and again, I'm not trying to be anything evasive here. I've got to get the knowledge of what we're doing and what we have not done. So I'm going to get that information and see. I know what the program you're talking about. I've heard about it, as well. So let's get data on that. Have our people start, reaching out across the board to say, okay, what is out there? Then we've got to also then take that and look at what is the structural limitations that I have. What is the VA structural problems to either entering into a larger study or entering into a trial basis, or, basically possibly even, as you said earlier, voucher funding or whatever that may be. What are my structural limitations that Congress has put on me there? Is there structural limitations that says you can use X dollars for this, but you can't use X dollars for that? Okay. And then if there is, and we find enough evidences in our place to do it, then I'm going to go to Congress. I'm going to go to the House Veterans Affairs Committee. I'm going to go to the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, and then I'm going to go to the leadership and say, look, these are things that I need changed. Y'all may not be able to agree on a lot of things here, but these are some things hopefully you can agree on. Give me the statutory ability. Even if you want to do it on a limited basis to start off with, I'll take that so that I can actually start trying. If I find out I don't have some of the statutory limitations, then I want to know what policy-wise may be hindering this, or is there a policy that can make sure that we're working with partners to do this? Now, again, you said it earlier. The fiduciary role I take very seriously. You get close to a vet. You get close to, and Sean, you may have heard me say this already in this discussion. I call them my vets and my employees. I don't do that to belittle. I don't do that. It's just personalized to me. Mm-hmm. So if you get close to them, we're going to make sure you're doing it right. My fiduciary duty is I got to make sure that no matter how great you think your program is, I got to make sure that we're not opening something up that nobody else has seen. And that's just due diligence kind of thing. So we're going to make that happen. One of the things that's concerning me, and almost a sidetrack to what we're talking about here, is there's a lot of residential treatment facilities in the private sector now that, because of wait times for some mental health issues, they're now popping up. Okay, I got no problem with us, and Congress is sort of backing this up, and we're putting some more money in there for it. But one of the concerns have we created a cottage industry for this now? Because look, money in DC is like water on a pavement. It's going to go to its lowest part. It's going to find its way out. Okay. So if all of a sudden people hear there's money in this, then there's always going to rise to meet that demand. But is that demand always good? No, it's not, because they're doing it quickly. They're doing it for the money. They're doing it for the possibility. Not every one of them, but probably some. So we're having to deal with that right now in those kind of programs, and I'm having to.
Okay, I want to pause it right there for a minute. Just to kind of see where he's going with this, because that's about the halfway point.
Okay.
So basically, his concerns are that when he goes to Congress, tell me if I'm reading this wrong, he's either going to get blocked by people in committee that don't want this to go through. He's going to get pushback and some other things. But then he's also afraid that if he does get the okay to move forward, that they're just going to try and throw money at it. And by doing that, it's just going to create a black hole of corruption that's going to steal the money and do absolutely nothing for you guys. Is that what I'm hearing him say?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's 100% what he's saying. Because he's exactly right on. I like how he wants to help us and everything, but I also like how he's seeing that the bureaucracy, a lot of them aren't good for us. So I think the very first thing they have to do is find out who is doing the good work for us, and then can those who are not doing the good work for us.
Yeah. I'm on board for that. If you can't do the job, then don't be there.
Exactly. And I mean, because I've seen some really great VA workers, but I've also seen not so great VA workers.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, Yeti, what do you say?
Well, to your point, it seems to me that there are more bad than there are good. I've encountered a fair few of the good ones myself. The problem comes in when the good ones have absolutely zero power to affect the care you receive from the VA, or don't receive for that matter.
I agree. Because my counselor, like yesterday, I'll be honest, I finally cried in front of her. She's always seen the numb version of me.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys have seen that, but lately I've been venting a lot more and stuff like that. But now she's finally getting that aspect of me, because I know she's a good counselor, she wants to help and everything. But there's also people that I will never open up to, like I did yesterday to her.
Right.
Understandable.
I'm listening. I'm just trying to trim down this article. I'm gonna
No, you're good.
springboard here a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's just my deal with the VA. I know a lot of people don't trust the VA, like Dave doesn't, and I get that because of the bad corruption.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. That's what he really needs to work on right now, though, is bad corruption. And I know people are nervous about their jobs and everything, but if they're that damn nervous about their damn jobs, what are you fucking doing?
Find a different job.
Well, my thought is if they're all that nervous about losing their job, then they must know that they're not doing everything possible they can for the veterans in the first place.
Exactly. And that's kind of like, and like they've got the high school clique, and the high school clique is like, oh, this person's really popular with me. I don't want her to lose her job. But is she doing it? Is she helping? Are they doing what they're supposed to? If the answer is no, then I'm sorry, but you guys can see each other outside of work, but they gotta go.
Thomas says it's policies that's hurting us, and not just the VA.
It is policy because the other thing is the SUBLOCADE shot I get every month. I have to take a drug screen, but it's every 6. If I go past the 6 weeks, I have to get a drug screen. But my psychiatrist is making me do it way before the 6-week mark is even there. So it's like, is she doing it because she doesn't trust me, or is she doing it because there is a different kind of policy that the VA put in place?
That's a good question.
Do you trust this individual generally?
Yes and no. It's halfway. I mean, I trust her with some things. I trust her to help me out because she's one of those that actually would. But because of the policies, I think that's where I'm kind of not trusting her.
I wonder if, and I'm not, I have no way of knowing, but I wonder if maybe she's just trying to, make sure that it doesn't lapse,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, and that's a conversation I have to have with her. Because I purely think, and I'm sorry, Chris, I don't mean to interrupt.
There you go.
I purely think she doesn't trust me still. And it's like, I need to have that conversation. If it's the trust, then we need to work on that. But if it's the policy, then I get it. And I'll stop.
Another idea I'm just going to throw out here towards that is that with you just going back on the shots, and with your history with addictive personality, I'm wondering if she isn't starting it out at 4, so that way you still have a decent concentration of it in your system when you go back in. And then as she sees that you start relaxing with it, I think she might move it out to like 5. And then, you know what I mean? Gradually move you out so that way you don't have withdrawal symptoms, first of all, which can really hinder your recovery.
Yeah.
And so just something that popped in my head because, yeah.
No, I appreciate that, bud. I didn't think of that, but I'm just... Those are things
I'm sorry.
No, it's just like that. Those are the things I'm kind of concerned with, and I actually brought that up to my counselor yesterday. And she brought up the policy stuff, and I was like, okay, I can kind of see that, but what else is going on? Is there a trust issue? Because I'm starting to be a lot better with my psychiatrist. Come on, let's go.
Yep. Yeah, if you don't trust the people you're working with, you're not going to get better. That's for sure. So
yeah.
But alrighty, let's go ahead and finish this up because there's a conversation in here that I like towards the end, I think, and yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
With our folks to say, are we making sure that if we're using these, are they up to standard that we need to be at? Because if we don't, then we're going to be giving money to things that aren't working and in the end hurting us in the long run. And I think that's something that I've got to be aware of. So for me, it really goes down to that. That's where we're already starting. We're going to have more meetings as we go about this to make sure we're getting the information and as quickly as possible start to find those solutions that we can do something with.
Would advocacy help at all? Does it help you to get veterans that have been through X, Y, and Z treatments in front of Congress to vouch?
Yeah, it never hurts. It never hurts to do that because again, I've said this for years. The best spokesman for anything is the satisfied customer. And I think that's the part in the recognition that it may or may not be for everybody, but for me, this worked. And so in conjunction with what hopefully we're going to do over the next few weeks and maybe a couple months is saying, what are our limitations? Beginning the process to say, hey, this has worked for me. I'm not sure where we're at in the process, but Mr. Congressman, Miss Congressman, or Madam Senator, Senator, whatever, I want you to know this has worked for me. I just want to give you this information. And I would appreciate if you help the Secretary find us a way to this. I believe this could help others. That's always a good, I would never turn anybody down to talk about what they have.
The reason I'm asking is earlier you're talking about how media is attacking you about this stuff. And so would a hearing with 1,000, I mean, you're talking to the largest veteran population in the world right now on this show. And so would it help if there was some type of a hearing at Congress and you brought in 1,000 vets that have been through different whatever you're advocating for change-wise, to bring in people that it's actually worked for in front of Congress, televised. Here it is.
Yep.
Media, put this on.
Yeah, I think we could. I think that's something definitely working with Congress and working with the two committees in particular to say as we go forward, here's things that we want to emphasize, and some of that's been done a little bit. But I think it could be done more. I'm not going to downplay that there's not been an interest in Congress about this. But it's not just the VA committee there. It's the Energy and Commerce, which does a lot of the healthcare stuff and everything else. So there's different ways. But, yeah, I think those are definitely ways if we can get partnership with the Congress to say, are there better ways to do this? And I think, frankly, I think it'd be a Republican and Democrat coming together on it. I think you're going to see both parties be willing to look at stuff that work. You're going to have some on both ends who say, no, we're not going to touch this or no, this is bad. But you're going to have enough in the middle to say, well, let's at least listen to it. So I think as we progress in the next little bit with our information and then working with Chairman Boston, the House and the committee and Chairman Moran and the other side to say, hey, we've got some ideas here. Is this something we could get you to take a look at? We could make sure you have all the, the witnesses you want in dealing with this. I think it'd be definitely something. Now, I'm not going to also fool anybody. You start dealing with everybody's sort of piece of the pie out there, nonprofits, VSOs, everybody starts shuffling. You're going to make a lot of people nervous, Sean. Mm-hmm. Because, again, you're dealing in livelihood, so to speak, with stuff that they're doing and how they've done it and do we need to change and not change. I'm not bought and sold to anybody. I'm bought and sold to the veteran getting the help that they need and not dying anymore. So, look, this is where we got to have it. And right now, the bigger fights that we got to have is getting a structural basis. These are things that we can work on. But bringing it back to where we sort of started this whole thing is I've got to work on getting the VA in the best possible shape it can be to actually do its mission. And right now, we're probably a little more than probably we are heavy in where our allocation of employees are, where allocation and where our contracts have been spent and how the money is being spent and should be spent differently. Those are the things that we're working on very hard right now. But again, when you got Congress who has put this money out there telling everybody it's going to work, but the reality is it's not, they're going to be very hesitant to be told that what they did was wrong or to do it better. And so we're fighting those battles right now that are keeping me away from dealing with some of these other issues on how can we, find new and inventive ways to do things. How can we actually try things that haven't been tried before? So I'm fighting a bunch of battles on different levels right now. And wherever veterans can help, that's where I would love to have them be a part of this solution.
Man, it's just a damn shame. You got the entire veteran population that's screaming, we need help. This is how you help us. And then you got the fucking bureaucrats that are getting in the way, that are slandering whatever's happening in the media. And I think that's what makes it so frustrating is we know what we need and we know what we want. And we can't get it done because...
All right, I want to play that section over again.
Please do.
Because that's the most important part of this entire message, in my opinion. Let's see if I went back far enough.
Before. So I'm fighting a bunch of battles on different levels right now. And wherever veterans can help, that's where I would love to have them be a part of this solution.
Man, it's just a damn shame. You got the entire veteran population that's screaming, we need help. This is how you help us. And then you got the fucking bureaucrats that are getting in the way, that are slandering whatever's happening in the media. And I think that's what makes it so frustrating is we know what we need and we know what we want. And we can't get it done because some fucking politician in DC who didn't never set a foot on a fucking combat ever, never, is making the decisions for us. And it pisses us off.
Yep.
And, but earlier you had mentioned about community health care.
Yep.
How is it working now? And what would you like to see happen?
It's not working as good as it should, I believe. And I think this is where we need to make it easier. And I think, and again, I look at this generationally, and this, and I don't mean to put everybody in a pigeonhole here, but we're dealing with different generations of veterans. Okay, I still got World War II veterans, I still got Korean veterans, still have a lot of Vietnam veterans, and then there's a sort of that, if you know your history, sort of that lull time, that 70s and 80s, that was sort of after the Vietnam, before Gulf War. That is a veteran that has a lot of different needs. They were in a lot of different things, but just this sort of the quiet veteran, that veteran in the middle. And then you sort of pick up with Gulf War and then GWAT. Okay? Think about that for a second. You go from boomers, or not even boomers, you got pre-boomers, to the greatest generation, through boomers, through X, through everything else. The mentality of those generations and how they interact with the VA is very different.
No matter where you're watching Sean Ryan Show from, if you get anything out.
Alrighty, so.
It's 100% different. Sorry, Chris.
No, you're good. But I heard that last night, and I thought, we got to talk about that.
Hell yeah, we do.
Now, I'm going to actually share the link to that. As soon as I find out what my show is. And I thought, we got to talk. Hey, it helps if I turn it down first. So there's the link to the actual conversation. If he did an entire 2 hour plus interview with Doug Collins, and there's a lot of really good stuff in there. So I might try and pick something out for this afternoon that I think is important to discuss too.
There you go.
But so let me.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oops. Technical difficulties.
What were you going to say, Yeti?
Hold on. I'm trying to find it. I think I need to be in Sent. There it is. Nope. It's the wrong email.
Morning, Susie. Morning, Rose.
There we go. Show trimmed content. All right. So I'm going to begin at the beginning. This is essentially in response to that part you played a second time. Well, now I can't find the original email I sent.
Who'd you send it to?
Secretary of the VA.
Oh.
Now let me preface this by saying I do not believe Doug Collins is the problem in this interaction. I'd be very surprised to find out he's even aware I sent these emails. I can't find the original email on this. Let me go over here instead.
Snipe near sent. What are you doing, sir? Get over here. Leave her alone.
Well, I was hoping to just pull the whole thing on one page and not have to keep clicking between different windows. So this is the original one I sent, and I titled it "Systemic Corruption at the VA." To whom it may concern, I would like to speak directly with the Secretary of the VA about the systemic corruption within the VA that has resulted in an increasingly lowering quality of life for myself and other veterans over the past 5+ years, as well as the measures that must be taken to end this corruption and prevent it from ever infecting the VA again. I then go on describing my particular situation, putting it in frame, and the fact that the VA is maliciously denying patients. I then get an email, and pretty much, I got an email. I basically said, "Hey, the VA is abusing me, and I need to speak to the Secretary of the VA." And they turned around and said, "Understood. We are forwarding it to the VA." So I then sent them this next email. There it is. Yeah, they sent me this next email telling me they would send it back to the VA. So I replied, can't get any easier the world. And I demanded, I told them this is not what I did. I had to copy the email because originally I didn't have permission to reply, whatever that means. And I told them this is an unacceptable solution or response rather, and demanded to speak to the VA or the Secretary of the VA. They then responded with this long list of literally everything I've tried up to this point with the VA. Departments I've already talked to, stuff I'm, for ways I'm having to try and backdoor my 100%. And my final response to him that I never got a response back from was, after 5 years of fighting the VA, I know all this and have spoken to just about everyone other than senior management because they don't talk to veterans. I have and am doing everything by the book. The book is the problem. It is being used to abuse me and other veterans. The VA is abusing me. All caps, 3 exclamation marks. Sending me back to the problem is not going to solve this. Me speaking to the secretary about the problem will. So again, I demand this be escalated to the secretary of the VA, not back to the same people that are abusing me in the first place. Now, the reason I know I stumbled over this a lot, the reason I bring this up is Doug Collins is very clearly expressing a desire to talk to veterans about their problems. But it doesn't do a damn bit of good if his office is preventing us from talking to him because he's a busy man. We know he's a busy man. He's busy trying to fix things for us. But he can't truly solve the issue if he's unaware of the underlying causes. And the best person to tell him what the underlying causes are, as well as the solutions, are the people experiencing it firsthand.
Yeah. But it's like we're getting, as we call it, like cock blocked. We're getting cock blocked.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Trying to get help.
Yep. Yeah. They still don't have a fucking picture of him or Trump at the VA.
No, they don't. And actually, someone commented on my VA's website on Facebook about that, and I said, yeah, they still don't have it up. So I'm making it well aware of that. It's like, yes, we know. We're noticing this and everything, and it's like,
I don't know if there's anybody out there. As I'm sure there is, but I've not actually heard anyone say it. But just in case, somebody that's asking, why is that important? Comes across this later. The reason that picture is important is not because, we need our idol on the wall or anything to that effect. It's the fact that they are under even the community-based outpatient clinics are under direct orders to put a temporary picture in.
yep.
And 60 days after that order was issued, it's still not up. So they clearly don't give a fuck what he has to say.
Nope. They don't want him. They're too afraid of their jobs, like I was talking about earlier, because, we don't have a job. And it's like, shut the fuck up. We don't have a job. Our job is to get help.
Or rather, we can get a job, but we're not physically capable of working said job.
Well, yeah. I mean, but a lot of us, we can't because of our physical issues and our mental health issues overbear. Because it's like, we've got that different mentality of like, we want the structure like they were talking about, but we've got the attention to detail. We've got the don't fucking give me bullshit attitude. I want to do my job and get the fuck home, get my money. And then you got coworkers and stuff like that try to ruin it for us. And then they ruin our mental health if we've been doing good for a while and things like that. And it's the fucking high school mentality at the jobs, and the civilians don't, no offense, Chris, but like, y'all civilians don't understand truly the veteran community as much as you say you want to. We're a different breed. And all of that. So it's just like we were thrown into war, or we were thrown into possibly going to war, like the 80s and 90s, or like the 70s, late 70s, 80s, and late 90s. They didn't have war until either the first Gulf War or the second. So.
Well, and I think the primary disconnect in this is due to no fault of their own. They don't understand the mission first mentality.
No, and it's not their fault. They don't.
No.
And like, we chose to go. Like, it's a volunteer organization, but it's a totally different organization now than what it used to be after Vietnam, because they didn't have a choice.
Right.
Now we do.
Some of them, the majority did.
Yeah.
Of course, those that did, had they decided the other way, they may have ended up being, sorry. Um, but yeah, no, that mission first mentality, that's essentially what we need in the VA. We need the mission first mentality. We don't need the for health and public safety, we're going to take rights away from you. Rights that we see from fucking government already.
Yeah, and then like they're afraid of us if we. Sorry to interrupt. They're afraid of us if we get upset and stuff like that. And it's like, look, we're upset because we're not getting fucking help. We're upset because we're getting abused. We're upset, and then they put a disruptive behavior flag on us, like we're the bad guys. And it's like, no, the fuck we're not. You are.
Yeah. To your point, how many times were we told leading up to transition that no, not that kind of transition?
Yeah.
How many times were we told leading up to out processing that don't be afraid to ask for help? And they convinced a lot of us to ask for help. But
Yeah.
how fucking times do you expect us to hear no, fuck you, before we stop asking for help? And then what do? Not the general populace, the VA specifically.
Yeah.
They berate you all over again for not asking for. Well, you need to ask for help. Don't be afraid. Don't be too manly to ask for. It's not about being too manly or too proud. It's that we're tired of being told no.
Yeah, and it's like in January I was put in the psych ward because I didn't realize I was going into a downward spiral with my finances and everything and getting ready to move. That I was going through the motion and everything. And the first thing my counselor, I love her to death and everything. Like, well, I don't love her like that, but like I love the therapeutic relationship like that. But the
Right.
very first thing was, I didn't know that you were going. Like, I didn't know. Uh, it was just like I didn't know that you needed this much help, and it's like neither did I. Because
Right.
I don't, there's a lot of times I don't know what the fuck I need.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, in this 5 years, I have received a lot of info from people trying to help. It's by no means have I just sat here and never received any help whatsoever. The problem.
Exactly, Thomas.
What do you say?
If you speak up, you're ostracized and written off as a crazy veteran, and your file flagged in an attempt to save their positions. That's exactly what I'm talking about with the disruptive behavior flag.
Excellent. He made my point for me.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, bud.
No, that's fine. He made my point for me. That's almost literally what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, the man can only do so much if he doesn't talk to us.
Yeah.
I suspect that's not necessarily his fault, but like he stated in that video earlier, bureaucracy getting in the way.
Yeah, and like you with your emails and everything, they're cock blocking us from wanting to talk to him. So
Well,
it's like and I think they're doing that because they want to make him look bad.
Oh, sure, 100%. I think you're right. That's my thoughts on it exactly. To be clear, when I sent those emails, I never expected to get a resolution from it. I also sent 2 separate letters, one to the White House, one to Mar-a-Lago to Trump about the issue. Primarily, my point in sending those emails was essentially to create a record of it so that they can't say, oh, well, we didn't know.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to pin all my hopes on it or hold my breath about it, but I figured it was at least worth a shot.
Man, you got us talking like crazy over the VA, and I've gotten better treatment this time, but in the past I have gotten shit treatment. I was well, and it didn't help like because I didn't know how to ask for help either in 2016, but it was also like during a time where my PTSD was skyrocketing. I was getting 1 hour of sleep for 3 months straight, and the psychiatrist wasn't listening to me on getting certain medications and to help get my anxiety down, and I kind of maybe threatened to throat punch her.
Well,
but what do you expect?
When you're frustrated, you act out of that frustration.
Yeah. And that's why I stopped going to the VA for like 7 years.
What gets me is how does no one, seemingly, see that from you or other veterans and not think something is driving them to this amount of frustration. Something has driven this. Maybe we need to look at what we're doing and see if we're contributing to it.
That would take self-reflection, and they can't do that. Then
no,
they would
they
have
can't.
to admit that they're at fault.
Well, I think they being people way above this particular discourse. I think the people up top they're well aware of this, and they have created policy disguised as best practices that prevents the VA from ever having to admit that they are the problem.
I think you're right, dude.
I mean, look at. I think I touched on it earlier. I don't remember if I touched on it after we started streaming. Just look at the process. I call it Control Alt Delete on YouTube. Look at the process when we're trying to get community care or get 100%. The V or just care in general. The VA has an iron fist over it. They will never, if they could possibly swing it, they will do everything they can to make sure that no one outside the VA is treating the veteran.
Yeah.
But the moment that the first line clinician, I guess we'll call them, thinks you're at risk of suicide, they're under I'm sorry, Control Alt Delete. Sorry, YouTube. They're under orders to shift you off to the
psych ward.
That or the prevention hotline. Well, the prevention hotline is not part of the VA. They are in no way connected to the VA in regards to note, records, treatment, or whatever the case may be. That one thing, they do everything they can to make sure the VA isn't touching it so that they can't be blamed. It's a complete divorce from SOP within the VA that they have to have control over everything. This seems to be the one thing they don't want control over. I wonder why.
Yeah, I've got a mug, a coffee mug, and a t-shirt and a sweatshirt or hoodie that it's from Dysfunctional Veterans on Facebook. It pretty much says the VA unaliving veterans since 1939 or 1930 when it was established.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, I think the best thing we could do is get as many veterans as possible to buy that and start wearing it to every single appointment they go to at the VA.
Yeah.
If enough people wear that shirt, they won't be able to ignore it. They'll eventually have a reporter come up. Why are so many veterans wearing this one article of clothing to their appointments? And then they'll have to either obfuscate or answer the damn question. They'll probably obfuscate. At that moment, it becomes abundantly clear where the real problem lies.
Yeah, and when the Phoenix VA in 2015, 2014 to 2016, when they were on the news over veterans offing or unaliving themselves in the parking lot, and then the reporters started reporting it, and then started reporting other VAs, and the VA had it shut down pretty fucking quickly.
Yes, they did. I'm actually aware of that.
Even the St. Louis VA had they put a veteran that wanted to unalive themselves in a corner in the emergency room away from the nurse's desk, and the guy actually did unalive himself.
Yep.
They left him there for hours.
Yeah.
Hey, that is so fucked, dude. Jay
Well, there
said,
was. Go ahead.
1 second. Let me read this because this has my blood boiling. Jay said, I called that hotline once, crying my eyes out, sleeping in my truck. I needed someone to talk to. They asked me if I was about to off myself. I said, no, I don't think so. So they fucking hung up on him.
Yeah, I actually have a similar story. I was drunk off my ass. I was crying, and they asked me the same question, and they hung up on me when I said no. They said, okay, have a nice night. Bye, bitch.
And they don't think that fucking doing that's going to push people over that edge, maybe, and cause that.
I think they're well aware of it. I think that's the goal. Well, I mean, not necessarily the hotline itself, necessarily. I think it's a result of bureaucratic policy, essentially. That's the way they're.
All they want is to bring the cops in, hopefully have the cops off us, or us unalive ourselves and do all that.
Yeah, because they don't have to pay us after that.
Yep.
I'm sorry, guys and gals. That's not.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
It's bad.
He said they told me the line was for self-deleting only. Then why have it? Because most of the people who are thinking that way, they're not going to fucking call you people because they don't trust you. That's just the reality of it.
They're not calling you because you're a witness. They're calling you because they want you to talk them out of it.
Yeah, and honestly, that's why I don't call 988 a lot, or if at all, because it's like, I'd rather talk to you guys to be like, hey, I just need to fucking talk. More than likely, I just need to fucking talk.
Yeah.
Jay said, kind of dumb. If I did, then I wouldn't have called them. Yeah. That's why I think we're going to mostly push the Battle Buddies app. I've had a couple people in our group that have called them and talked to them. And that's what they're for. They're not there for specifically crisis. They want you to call them if you're having a really bad day and you just need to talk. They want you to call and talk to them and get it out of your system and hopefully help you work through it. And it's actual veterans who have been through the same shit that you guys have been through.
Yeah.
But the kicker is, on top of that, they do have a trained psychiatrist, psychologist on this up there on the staff there at all times. That's monitoring conversations in case they think that there needs to be some more steps taken. If they're worried about your mental health, they're worried that they think you are going to off yourself, they're going to step in and say, hey, and they're going to give their credentials. They're going to say, I'm really worried about you. Is there any way we can talk you into, can I take you off to the side, talk to you more, and get some more information? They're going to try and talk you into going and getting the help they think you need.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be way more effective than what the media is doing at this point in time.
To your point, there is a benefit that these veterans have in that regards, in that the Army, one of the few things the Good Idea Fairy did right, is the class you take around SP. And one of my biggest takeaways from that class was their reference to actual research. Not this bullshit I'll read later, but actual research into the issue. And the number one thing they discovered with said research was that in roughly about 90% of the cases, the ideation is transitory. It's not the words they used. What that means is 90% of the time when someone gets to that point to where they're having those ideations, and if someone is able to come in and help them get past that point, more often than not, they'll never have an ideation like that again. It's a momentary thing. They're having trouble dealing with the onslaught of stress life has thrown at them, and they just need help getting through it at that moment. Once they're through it, they usually won't revert back to it, barring continual stress of the same manner.
So, who wants some good news?
Sure. Yes. I'm always up for it.
As of 17 hours ago, it was breaking. Fauci's wife has been fired from the NIH. How sad.
Yay!
I knew one of you was going to do it, so I just kind of sat back and let it go.
It's just
about fucking time.
It truly is wild to me, the level of nepotism we've reached within government specifically.
Well, and now even in sports with LeBron James' son.
I hadn't heard about
that. Yeah, that poor boy.
I feel bad.
Go ahead.
I feel bad for Bronny, but Bronny also thinks he's fucking amazing at basketball, and he's not.
He's above average, but he's not his dad. He's not a superstar in the NBA. He should have stayed in college and worked out. His only season in college, he averaged less than 5 points a game.
Yeah, and that was because he had the health problems, more than likely from a certain thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Because his own dad, when asked about it, wouldn't answer about it. By reporters.
Did that strike anyone else as odd? Just how hard these, I don't want to call them elites, the more famous people in our society, it just almost seemed to be universal that they just clammed up at some point. Like it looked like they were willing to come out and talk about it, but then like it almost seemed like somebody got to them, threatened them, or bribed them, one or the other, somehow convinced them to not talk about it at all.
No, they threatened them.
I think so, yeah.
There was one episode of where Jim Carrey was actually talking about a certain group, the highest group, and he did the symbols, and the very next moment, after he did the symbols, he got a phone call and he went pale,
Wow.
and that was his wife.
You said
They,
Jim Carrey, right?
yeah, they basically unalived her at that point.
Well, he's a nutless wonder anyway.
Yeah. Well, he says he's got bipolar or schizophrenia or one of those two.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I think most of those, like most of the famous individuals who have like the comedy and stuff, they have some sort of mental health issue, because the ones that are the most funniest seem to have the most issues, because we have the fucking dark humor. We have to have it, otherwise we're just gonna cry and do what Robin Williams did.
Well,
I hate to say it like that.
And I agree. I'm
I,
not. I'm never going to understand what you guys go through. But I can be empathetic and try to understand and be here to listen, and hopefully get some voices out there so that we can force some kind of change in some way.
Yeah, I agree. I will say this: you know more about what we've gone through than the jackasses at the top levels at the VA, because you do the one thing necessary to understand what we've been through. You ask and listen. Yeah, it's that simple. If they truly want to understand us, literally all they have to do is listen to us.
And that's what my counselor does. She actually, yesterday when I started crying, she even said this afterwards. Like, she just sat there and listened, and she was gonna be there to help calm me down if I wasn't able to calm myself down. But she noticed, like, you cried in front of me and you calmed yourself down in front of me. I didn't have to help. You can do all of this and stuff like that. And she was proud of me and everything. But it's like, that's where I've been the past 8 years. But with my parents meeting Jesus, it just kind of overtook everything.
Yeah.
And every single one of you knows that I've been very numb about it, and I get kind of angry on lately. But it was starting to boil over, and my counselor finally saw it.
It just
and that's something you have to. It's going to take time, and you're going to have to work through it. And it's not going to be easy. I can't tell you that it will be.
Right.
But we're here. If you need us, you can get a hold of us.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, Thomas. It's a way to hide deep depression. It is.
Jay said, "I like Jim, but his cheese slid off his cracker."
Oh yeah, because he got threatened.
I don't know that his cheese has ever been on his cracker there, Jay. Have you seen Fire Marshal Bill? That's not a normal and happy member of society. Oh, let me tell you something. That was horrible, but so Jack Posobiec just posted Catholics for Catholics post. It says, charity was never meant to be a paid position. Catholics charity and these religious organizations should not be getting wealthy to perform the corporal works of mercy. The same goes for most 501c3 nonprofits.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've done that so many times for my friend Denny. He served 25 years in the Canadian Army, and he has his moments when I can sit and listen to his stories. And that's a good thing, Ruth. Thank you for doing it.
I don't mean to do this, but is there like a mumble sound after you guys talk?
Yeah, it's coming through somebody's system. I don't know. I don't think it's mine, but
It's not mine. It could be Yeti. I don't know.
let me push the little button. Did that fix it?
There we go. There we go. We're good.
Better?
Okay. I just turned my phone down.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I just noticed it. I'm like, hey. In case if anyone else was noticing it and didn't want to say anything.
I notice everything. I just deal with it.
Yeah, I was dealing with it for a while. But
no,
yeah.
I get it. You guys have your own
quirks.
Jay said it sounds like we are on a party line.
Yeah, I'm not using my good equipment today because of the acupuncture.
He became a pincushion.
Yeah, I've got my ears pierced at the VA twice so far.
So let's touch on something else that we vehemently are against.
Okay.
And that is men pretending to be women to dominate women's sports.
Mm-hmm.
Assholes.
16 hours ago, female fencer takes a knee to protest against her biologically male opponent during a fencing match. The opponent, Redmond Sullivan, switched from the men's fencing team to the women's fencing team at Wagner College last year. Sullivan shockingly started dominating the female competition after the switch was made. During the Connecticut Division Junior Olympic qualifiers last year, for example, Sullivan competed with the female athletes and won. The video below reportedly took place over the weekend. So, yeah, that's just... I don't agree with it at all. California, they think they're sticking it to Trump by pushing these laws, and they're actually pushing people away from them because it's... Even in the Democrat Party, it is a losing argument. They don't want it either. 60% of Democrats are against this. What does that tell you, you bunch of morons?
Push it harder, baby.
I got some good news.
Yeah.
Let's have it.
BLM Plaza is finally officially gone.
Yay.
In DC.
Good riddance.
You should never have been there to begin with.
No.
It was a very expensive...
Should never popularized a criminal.
Well, that's been a thing for a good long while now.
Yeah.
Save the criminal, damn the citizen.
Right.
Yep. And save the police force that may be the issue, like in your setting.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna figure out how to pin this.
Where do you want to pin it at?
Pretending to know how to stuff.
Pretending to know things, yeah. I do that every day.
Yeah, that's right. Jay says they aren't hurting Trump by eating their own. No. No. And Harry sits in that little bitch. I still say that, he wanted those text messages to get out of him asking girls for nude pictures and stuff. Because, face it, he's not sleeping with females. I don't believe that one bit. But I think he was trying to change the narrative and get people to think that he was actually sleeping with girls and that, he's not a butt pirate.
Yeah.
But no.
Either that or incel. Their own term.
He's still a butt pirate.
I think you're right, personally.
I mean, the way he talks and acts and like dresses, it's just like it's definitely that butt pirate. And he always hangs out with guys.
And it's funny because they're all very, very effeminate and, well, they're gay too. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
There's no getting around it. I don't care. That is my opinion. I don't want to get into too much disgusting comments there.
Your educated guess.
I can go very, very badly into that.
Hi, Skittles.
Good morning, Skittles.
I've got all 3 of them right there.
Oh, good.
Simba, Skittles, Brady.
Good morning, kitty. Dude, you're right beside me. Why do you jump up every time I do that?
Dude, much that.
Yeah, like every time I do that, Whiskers like jumps up and like looks around like, where are we going? Oh wow. Is that honestly real?
What? Hi, Mr. Brady. All right, I'll stop coloring. Just for the moment.
That would drive me crazy.
What's that?
No, it'll repeat. I'm just getting it into focus here. But this is an airport in Madeira. I do not like that.
Nope.
Because that is way too much weight.
Fuck that.
To be landing on something like that. All it takes is one of those pillars to get structurally compromised, and it's going to take the whole damn thing down.
Is that a designated runway, or is it emergency landing?
It says TAP A330-900 landing at Madeira Airport, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, that's a little concerning.
And this Danish Aurora guy goes, "This is amazing." Yeah, it's amazing how bad it's going to be when that ends up collapsing under one of these planes, and they're going to be, we don't know what happened. Well, you've got hundreds of people in a plane with lots of weight in their cargo and luggage hold, not to mention the fuel and all that other shit that's adding weight to it. Constantly putting coming down and hitting brakes to slow themselves down, which is jarring that bridge every time and jarring that structure.
Yeah. Brought to you by Delta Airlines.
Whee.
Shit. Ooh, my ankle just popped.
Oh.
That's good.
I gotta pull something up. I gotta pull it up. Hold on. You're gonna love this one, Yeti. It's from your home state.
Oh, shit. I'm ready. I hate that part.
SpongeBob.
I used to like it, and then I got older.
Right?
Yep.
And decided, I don't think I'd want my kids watching this.
You know the guy who plays Patrick Star?
Yeah.
Is
what about it?
Who used to play Dauber from Coach?
Oh, really?
The tall blonde guy? Yeah.
No, that worked. Okay.
Hold on, I gotta find it. Hiding from me. Damn it.
No. Come here, you. No. I'm losing a safety pin.
Oh, no.
It lives there now.
It's not here. That makes no sense.
Pain in the ass.
That's what I'm saying.
It's also what she said. Wait, what?
No, you're talking about the lady who
Who is she? And why does she keep saying these terrible things?
had to get reconstruction surgery because of her wonderful decisions. And then she says, "Oh, I'd do it again." The hell is wrong with you?
How about that guy that got a failed surgery for his micro penis, so started to GoFundMe so he could get a second surgery?
I haven't heard that one, but yeah, that's kind of crazy.
I don't think it made too much of a splash, but yeah.
I know damn well now I gotta reconnect to the speaker. So,
I would think if it didn't work the first time, it probably won't work the second time.
You never know. If he wants to go through all that pain again, more power to him, I guess.
I suppose.
All right, we are connected. Okay.
Ouch, Mike. Ouch.
Can you hear it?
No. Well, I hear it, but I can't understand it.
Place here in well, Black and White Network, we got a good one here today.
Now?
We have a very good story to talk about, and it takes place here in Texas, in DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth, in Red Oak County, which is a very, very red county out there near Dallas. Well, guess what happened, guys? A teacher, who is a male, by the way, decided it was a good idea to actually change his pronouns, become transgender, and guess what? Pretty much try to start indoctrinating children in the classroom. Newsflash, it did not go very well. Actually, guys, it went so bad, this English teacher now has resigned. Yes, because this teacher thought it was a good idea to make a TikTok video, and then it got out there on social media, and then Texas politicians got a hold of this, and it didn't go well. So now this teacher has quit the job. Yes, you shouldn't be bringing this kind of stuff into the...
So I'm actually going to get up here to the video that they shared.
Okay.
I'm not going to use their preferred pronouns because I don't give a shit. I don't like them.
Don't blame me.
This video right here, guys. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Hi, I'm Rosie, Texas English teacher and transgender goddess, here with just a couple of thoughts about some gender euphoria that I have been feeling today. So for those of you that don't know, gender euphoria is the feeling you get when you finally feel comfortable in your gender, when something good happens and it just brings you a lot of joy and calm. And it's been happening to me a lot today. This morning, when I stopped at the gas station for my morning energy drink, I got ma'amed, which is so funny because I know that there are a lot of women who really don't like being called ma'am, but I like it a lot. It's so new to me and it's so wonderful. And it was such a small thing to make me this happy. And then at school today, I'm surrounded by kids. I teach sophomores, and I have these 15, 16-year-olds who are completely on board, who, when I told them I had changed my pronouns, jumped right into it. They call me ma'am. They call me miss. They use my correct pronouns and know my correct name. And it is incredibly affirming. So I guess my message here is if you have any trans people in your life, it is so easy to show them love. So easy. All you have to do is respect them. Something as simple as calling a trans woman ma'am could be the thing that completely changes her entire day. It does for me. I've been out for 7 months and it never, ever, ever gets old. So I just want you to know, if you have trans people in your life, love them, because it means everything to them.
Wow.
Okay, so here's my big takeaway from this. He wasn't getting the attention that he wanted, so he decided that he was going to start dressing up like a woman and pretending to be a woman to see if he could get people to, first off, go against their, better sensibilities and start treating him like a woman, which he will never be. That's Secondly, he's telling you that lying to somebody with a mental illness is in their best interest. That's not true either, because lying to someone and affirming their mental illness just takes longer to get them the help that they need to get past it and get through it. And thirdly, Thomas said he's getting a penis reduction, so he should donate to the guy who's looking to fix his micro penis. There. And it sounds like this guy, his name's actual Zach, not Rosie. But it sounds like he's ready to donate his too, so yeah, I don't get it. You see all of these people, well, Jay said, they make a bad decision and try to make other people agree with it so they feel better about it. Exactly, yes. But I have seen so many videos of people who have actually taken that entire plunge and switched over to taking the female hormones. They've went through the surgery and had their wang cut off and had a, quote, fake vagina created. And the thing that pissed them off the most was, and you hear the most from these people who have done this, is, first off, is they don't make it big enough. They said, I've tried having intercourse and we can't because it just doesn't fit. They said, and it's not pleasurable. They don't get any pleasure from it because in the process of, cutting and moving everything around and reconstruction, the nerve that causes pleasure, the sexual pleasure, is usually killed during that operation. So, all right, Jamie. She said, I'm still tired. Had a few nightmares last night that woke me up. Sorry to hear that. If you're going to go get some rest, I hope you can get some sleep, and we'll talk to you later. But yeah, I mean, they don't realize that most of this is just a push by the pharmaceutical companies and the people who are funding the pharmaceutical companies and have stock in it to get people hooked on medications that they have to take for the rest of their lives. When you get put on hormones. Yes, Thomas. Thomas said their rate of unaliving is extremely high after they go through the transition, especially people. But they lie to you and tell you that if you don't affirm them and you don't help them get this stuff done, that they're going to alive themselves more before. No, it's the absolute opposite. So, and again, I don't want anybody unaliving themselves. I don't care what your views are. Well, let me put it this way. I have one type of person that I have no problem with that because I would help with that process, and that is somebody who hurts children, and that those people, I don't care. They can.
Millstone's great again.
Well, even just regular stones. Go back to the ancient Jewish traditions for people like that. So, give them different view on getting stoned, because I don't think they're going to like our version.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I thought that was a wick. It's not a wick. It's a piece of freaking pine tree branch. But yeah, so I will not be affirming anybody's mental illness. I will not be calling them by their preferred pronouns, or pretending that they are something that they're not, because that is not helpful for them. Jay says mental illness. I don't know what else to call it, and there are no consequences for the others telling them to do it. There should be, because they are basically telling these people to do something that they know is going to end very badly for them.
Mm-hmm.
If you tell somebody to jump off of a roof, you can be held liable for that. Why are they not being held liable for this? Especially the doctors who take an oath to do no harm.
Well, they've been convinced that a lot of them have that they're doing harm by not doing harm.
I guess.
Fucking 1984 double speak bullshit.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
Okay.
Okay, that's a. I come across a thing, a video. It says, "Is Coke lying?" And then I read the actual title. It says, "Everyone is wrong about Mexican Coke." Are you talking about Coca-Cola, or are you talking about the actual,
Well, we probably talked about Coca-Cola. What's their...
Yeah, he has a picture of the Coca-Cola bottle sitting.
Okay.
But I mean, just reading the label, I mean, that's just... I'm pretty wrong.
Well, what are we wrong about in regards to Mexican Coke exactly?
That's a good question. Let me go to the transcript and see.
Mexican Coke is a lie. At least it is according.
Show the transcript. It said Mexican Coke is a lie. At least it is according to Johnny Harris, who made a video a little while back, in which he found a study that claimed they tested Mexican Coke and found 0 grams of sucrose in it. I tracked down that study because I was curious, and I confirmed that yes, the authors found 0 grams of sucrose in a bottle of Mexican Coke. Now, cane sugar, which is what Mexican Coke claims to be sweetened with, is the whole point of Mexican Coke is just sucrose. High fructose corn syrup, on the other hand, is a mixture of fructose and glucose. And the authors found both fructose and glucose in that bottle of Mexican Coke.
Oh.
Okay, so they're just having an argument about the type of sugars that they're using.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is kind of stupid in my opinion. Sugar is sugar.
No, it's actually, well,
I mean,
molecularly speaking, it is different.
Yeah.
That said, it'll still make you fat. To your point, Sugar is a very poor energy source for the human body. But I would trust cane sugar before I trust fructose. Sucrose, rather.
Well, I'd rather have just regular cane sugar than any of it. I mean, and not the processed sugar. I want it done the way it was in the old-fashioned times, where there wasn't bleach to make it look whiter, and
yeah,
exactly. I don't give a shit about that. I want it to do its job, which is to sweeten the stuff that I'm eating and drinking. That's all sugar's supposed to be for.
Yeah. 100%.
Bruce said if they made it without vanilla, I would try it.
You don't like vanilla?
She's allergic to it, I believe.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Let me look something up. Order Coca-Cola without.
Okay, this stitch is going to look funny as hell, but fuck it, it'll work. I think.
Okay, let's see here. Ruth, it says, yes, you can order Coca-Cola without vanilla. Morning, Andrea. As the original Coca-Cola does not contain vanilla flavor, and there are various other Coca-Cola products that do not include vanilla, such as Coca-Cola Zero Sugar, which is nasty as shit.
Yeah, well, it's better than Diet Coke, but I agree, it's no comparison.
Well, it still uses an artificial sweetener that causes a bitter taste in my mouth, and I will
aspartame. Yeah, or not? Is it aspartame?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a derivative of aspartame.
Oh, okay. Okay, fair enough.
So, but yeah, the original Coke, so Coke Classic, does not have vanilla as a primary ingredient. So,
fair enough.
good times there. Now, I've had the vanilla Coke when they came out with that, and it was good. It says I can smell it in the Coke.
Sir, do you know what I pulled you over?
Coke
You could
Classic.
smell it.
Are you getting Coke Classic or are you getting the new Coke? There's a difference between the two, they're saying.
Yeah, there's supposed to be. I've never had the opportunity to try it for myself and find out. All right, come on. One more. There we go.
Yeah, that was one of Coke's biggest blunders, was when they changed their recipe. Good morning, Elmo.
And they around what was it, season 4 of Stranger Things? They relaunched it, but it wasn't the same. So they ended up with egg on their face again.
Do you remember when Pepsi did their clear?
I think so. I don't know that I ever bought any.
I did.
Was it any good?
It wasn't bad.
Probably a little better for you than the regular without all the coloring and whatnot.
Yeah. They call it Crystal Pepsi.
Crystal, interesting. Oh, is it ringing?
and you can buy 2 of them on eBay right now for $35. I know you guys are going to go right out and buy that.
Damn, 35 for just 2 of those?
Because you can't find them anywhere else.
Well, yeah, right.
But yeah, so interesting.
Suck to be the person ordering that because they want to drink it.
Yeah, I don't know that I would want to drink that because it's probably, let's see if it gives us the date. Because if I remember, expiration date September 5th of 2022.
I was going to say, I think that'd probably be a more expensive habit than crack cocaine.
Right. You'd have more fun with the crack cocaine, I believe, but that's just my opinion.
Well,
temporarily
at least.
Thomas says coffee and water for me. I'm weird.
Stick with just water.
I've tried doing the water thing, but as someone with overactive taste buds, I have to be careful what water I drink because I can sit down, and I've had this conversation, and I've actually proved my point, where somebody actually sent spring water out and had it tested to see what all minerals were in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they brought it to me, the same spring water they had tested, and they had me taste it. And I came within 99.9% of the actual testing to telling them what all minerals were in there. There was a couple that there are some minerals out there that don't have any taste.
Right.
Whatsoever. So, of course, I'm not going to be able to tell you that they're there because there's no taste.
Right.
But those were the only ones that I missed.
I don't know.
There's a lot of people out there that think that just because it says spring water, it means that there's nothing in it that you can, no. It just means that it supposedly came from a spring that bubbled up from under the ground, and it's, supposed to be colder and better for you.
Yeah.
But
the point of spring water isn't the lack of additives per se. It's the taste that those extra minerals add to it.
Daniel says, I'll stick with my Diet Dr. Pepper. Diet sodas are horrible for you. Aspartame is horrible for you. It is a carcinogen. All these sweetener that they come out with besides sugar. Sugar does not. I've never seen a thing claiming that sugar gives you cancer. Sugar is food for cancer and can help it spread faster. I have seen that in papers that I've read. But Daniel says, laughed my ass off spring water we used to drink from the hose growing up. Yeah, I did too, Daniel. I've done that too. They put something in the new liners in the hoses that just tastes horrible too until you get it washed out. Bruce said, unless it's something else in the Coke that I am getting a reaction to. The smell of vanilla gives me migraines, but not once mixed or baked, cooked into something.
You ever heard of Falls Creek?
I have not.
It's a church camp in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Technically, I don't know I think they've opened it up since then. Technically, it was reserved for Oklahoma churches. But we were able to go up there because our new church leadership from Oklahoma, and they pulled some strings. But they had this spot that used to be called the Devil's Toenail. They're just, little collection of spring water running off of higher ground. And we used to go up there just to, get a few sips of that water. It's good.
Yeah.
One time we were there, one of the leaders was telling us that you can tell whether the water is safe to drink based off the foliage that grows around it. Something about black tipped leaves or something like that. I've been meaning to look that up and see if there's any. see if it holds any water.
I'm trying to see what in Coca-Cola Classic.
I'm gonna get these damn things, this damn scene for him pinned so I can sew it without constantly having to fold it.
According to this, Ruth, they're trying to say that most people that get migraines from Coke Classic is from the caffeine and high sugar content.
Yeah. It's important to remember that caffeine does absolutely nothing without a catalyst. And the most common catalyst used for caffeine is sugar.
Bruce says, I have the big water filtration system I did a video on a few weeks ago. I use that all the time.
Nice.
I will go and pull that up here in a second and we'll check it out.
I'm going to have to buy a new filter for my fridge.
Okay.
You have some loud ass birds.
Yeah, we do. Hold on 1 second. Today is April 3rd.
I might actually make it all the way down this side of the hymn.
Well, if it's from the caffeine, you can actually get caffeine. You can inhale the caffeine. It doesn't have to be. It can come to you through the carbonation. So, and some of the shit that's in there, the acidity. I mean, even from Coke.
Oh yeah.
They tell you to use that if you have like really bad stains in your shower or your toilet. You can pour hot water down the toilet to get the hot water to go down to a level you can use it, and then you're supposed to just dump Coke or Pepsi into your toilet, and the acid will eat the stain away 90% of the time. They use it for taking rust off of bumpers and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not
battery terminals.
Yeah.
Although it's better if you're using it on the battery terminals, it's better to use straight black coffee.
Yeah. Good morning, Ann. Let's see. So this is from today, 8:33 UTC. U.S. tariffs dry EUR and USD surge. Recent PMI data indicates continued growth in the Eurozone's private sector, adding to the euro's strength. Market attention is currently focused on tariff developments and upcoming U.S. economic data releases, including services PMI and non-farm payrolls. So it's actually helping the euro as well. Who would have guessed that?
Well, I'm just thinking euro and strength generally don't belong in the same sentence.
Well, it's just saying that both are surging, the U.S. dollar and the euro. So,
oh yeah, and they'll continue to surge under Trump. That's what a lot of these idiots abroad don't understand. America first benefits the entire world.
in some ways, yeah, I get it.
Well, economically, if nothing else.
I'm going to go back to YouTube. We're going to pull up Ruth's channel.
Well, get in there. That's what he said. All right.
I have seen also where apparently Prince Harry has had enough of Meghan Markle, and there's possible talks of them going their different ways.
I think we've all had enough of Meghan Markle.
Right.
You know what's funny is I made it through probably about 3 seasons of Suits before I realized that was Meghan Markle. Just because I'd never really paid much attention.
Yeah.
Only real photos I'd seen of her up to that point were paparazzi photos. And, they're not always the greatest.
Yeah.
Or rather, they're not always all that close to the target, as it were.
Unfortunately.
All right. Oh, there it is. There. Oh. All right. This part's probably going to be the pain in the ass part. There we go.
Here it is. I found it.
You finded it?
Yep.
Ruth?
So we are going to actually share the link to that video on the show. There we go. There you go, Ruth. Oh, well, no, there you go. Now it finally sent. She says instead of looking for Greenway, look for VitaPure. That is the name of the same unit in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Almost
says I never understood why Americans care at all about the British royal family. We fought a war to get away from them.
That's what I'm saying.
Back in the day, I understood, the whole thing with Prince Charles and Princess Diana. That was the infatuation with, marrying the prince and wanting to live that lifestyle of, you know, happily ever after that they had represented up until, you know, when Charles and Diana got divorced and all that stuff happened. So. What the hell is that noise? Somebody mowing?
Coming from my end or your end?
My end.
Oh, okay.
I hope they're not trying to mow because we got shit all through the yard from the wind the other day. I haven't had a chance to clean it up yet.
Maybe they're mowing the shit.
Well, I mean, and it's raining, so why in the hell would they be mowing in the rain? Well, he was Amish. I mean, that could explain it.
Who knows?
So.
I'm going to start from this side.
Thomas said that price isn't bad. Cool. And then Ruth said the exact same one, same model number. Nice.
Hell yeah. Huh. One of the caretakers I had in the past, he was trying to get into this some kind of water system. I'm trying to remember what it was called. It's
that's how lovely it is here today.
Nice.
It is.
It basically makes the water so that your body will absorb it better.
I've heard vitamin K is good for that, for helping to absorb nutrients and stuff into the body.
Yeah. It does something. It basically does something to the molecules. I forget what it is. Nothing like crazy or sci-fi, really. But it took me a while to convince him that in the Biden economy, he needed to look for another way to generate income. Because the only places he would be able to really sell it to would be businesses or hospitals. And explain to him the problems with that. He's going to have to, start from scratch, work his way in the door, and he's going to have to talk to person A, then person B, then person C before he finally gets to the guy that can actually make those financial decisions for the company in question.
Yeah.
But he was convinced the benefit of it alone, which I believe the benefit to be real, I believe it is a good product, would convince people to spend money they don't have. I mean, that's not how he thought of it, but that's the reality of how it was. I told him he should put it on the back burner and start with something like Advocare or something.
Thomas says he has to go, so he said, have a great day, everyone.
See you later, Thomas. It's good to have you here.
I said to Ruth, I bet she's glad she doesn't have to drive in the damp and foggy, rainy weather. They have she said it's damp. She said it's rainy and foggy up there too. So
it's a damn mess. Sorry. I'll grab my coat.
This is oxygen water, but has another name. Interesting. I'll figure it out. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. It is 9:00 on the East Coast here. I've got things I've got to get done today too. So thanks for hanging out, everybody. I appreciate you. Hopefully you had a good time. Hopefully it was informative to some people.
I had a time.
Of course, we'll keep looking into the VA stuff and trying to just come up with ideas that maybe we can share with the VA people in charge and to help hopefully make it better.
Did we cover the studies they're doing with the psychedelics and shit?
We did not. I think we'll touch that this afternoon.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll leave my tab open then. Or rather, you know what? Maybe I should save this first. How do you save? There it is. Save as. VA.
And I'm back since it decided to kick my ass out.
Oh shit! I didn't even. Okay, I got that saved. I'll hang on to that till this afternoon.
I sent you a copy of it too in your email, so you should have it there too.
Oh yeah, no, I was basically gonna piggyback off the psychedelic onto another study project, kind of.
Okay, cool.
Parallel.
Do me a favor, send me a link to that so I can check it out too.
Oh yeah, I can. I'll look up some other stuff to send you. This specifically, I basically trimmed the important parts of it out and saved it to my notepad so that I'm not reading the entire article.
Okay, makes sense.
But
hi James, good morning, bud. You came at the end of the day, but it's good to see you. Hopefully you have a great day. We're wrapping up, and we are going to be back at 4 p.m. this afternoon. So hopefully you can come check us out then and hang out. But it was good seeing you.
Let's see. Question, right quick.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, it's your channel. It's your call. What would your thoughts be on pushing that an hour further out? Would that mess with the availability of the audience? Because that's the most important part.
You mean going what to?
Like only reason I asked on Mondays and Thursdays, that lady comes to clean the house 1 to 4, which would put me jumping in at 5 o'clock, which I could keep doing. I just figured I'd see what your thoughts were on that.
I don't have a problem with it, but we'd have to make sure everybody knows what we're doing beforehand.
Yeah, right. No, I'm not expecting an immediate change or anything, or a change at all per se. I just figured I'd bring it up, given that we do have an hour difference between the two of us.
Yeah. So.
Whichever works best.
Yeah, let me talk to everyone and see what they say.
Okay. Sounds good.
You said Mondays and Thursdays.
Yeah. It was initially supposed to be 12 to 3. But the lady that's been coming, it works better for her to come 1 to 4, which I'm fine with.
Okie dokie, bud. Yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay. Cool beans.
All right. I will talk to you all later. Have a great day. Be safe and watch out for storms. There's more storms coming. So.
Yeah.
But all right. Later, y'all. Have a great day. Peace. We out.
Peace.